man with a plan, I like to call. Right. And again, Mary Oz, again, I want to say thank you so much again for your patience. Again, me and TJ get to talking, and sometimes we just gab for hours. But again, who is Mary Oz, you may be asking? Well, look, she's a singer-songwriter in Cebu, Philippines. Hopefully I'm saying that correctly. Also leads worship for her church in her own hometown, and is a practicing architect and a master plumber, believe it or not. She began sharing her music during the lockdowns, eventually releasing 18 songs since January of 2021. She writes and sings mostly in English, with the hope of bringing God's message of love, redemption, and hope through songs of varied genres to reach those who feel they are too far for the reach of grace, and to wake up the saints in us. So, Mary, again, thanks so much for joining us tonight. How are you doing this evening?
Hi. It's morning here, and so I'm doing good. It's not the early part of the morning. It's at noontime actually, and it's a good day. After the storm we had yesterday, today is a good day, and we praise God for that.
Right. Well, Mary, I want to also point out when you mentioned about earlier when he was talking, and he and I were talking about gold nuggets, that your comment
Yeah.
was so beautiful that sometimes these things come in nuggets, sometimes in bouillons, but then maybe often they come in gold dust, and that we have to be intentional in our reading to find them. They still have their weight in gold as much as a nugget does. So I love that. So I wanted to highlight
Yeah.
that comment you made as well. So thank you for that. That was beautiful.
Oh, thank you so much. I guess that comment came. I mean, that realization came when I was watching one of those shows where they mine for gold.
Mhm.
And then, when they start collecting the gold, they're not in big pieces. They're usually like the gold dust, and they gather them in a jar. And then somebody spilled a little bit of it, but made sure to pick that dust up and put it back in the jar, and they weighed it all of that together, and still, it was worth a lot of money. And I believe that, God's word, sometimes it doesn't come with a lightning flash or something, a big revelation. Often it comes with a tiny whisper. Even if we were just so intent, it come in those little dust that we just have to be so intent in His presence, be able to pick those up, and that will just add to life to our lives, and love to our God. Yeah.
I love it. I love again just that kind of to your point, gold dust, you're not just sitting there sweeping it, you're gently kind of like how God does us sometimes, right? Sometimes He
Yeah.
leads us in the way in a gentle way. Sometimes, like Abraham,
Yeah.
He's like, get out of your dad's house and get to going, right? So
Yeah.
hopefully,
Yeah.
thankfully, God knows the best way to approach us, right? So
Yeah.
what's your
Yeah.
song for us tonight? Your first song? I'd love to hear it.
Yeah. So the songs I'll be sharing tonight are, I guess this is where God has been leading me. Um, they're not technically songs that you can sing in a church, but these are songs that I hope will reach people who are outside the church, who are in the shadows of the church. That uh, I want them to be able to realize that God is not someone distant, but a God who understands. And I guess hopefully in our ways, as bearers of His love, that we reach these people. And so this song is actually quite the common thing that is going around, very intriguing in the music industry right now, is the use of AI. And there's debates and going on about that. And I guess for me, like technology, AI is a tool, but I hope that we don't let it replace the voice that God has given us. I feel that, you know as we use this technology, let it not diminish the oil that we are supposed to be ready with when we meet our groom. I hope that as we grow, as for myself, I guess this is so personal, that as I grow in this music ministry that God has given me, that in the writing, in the singing, that I will not shortchange what I can gain and what I can learn to love about God, and the tedious and the lengthy process of coming up with a song, and the birth pains that go with growing a heart that just wants to be with the Lord. So, song is called "Ain't I," and there are many things that technology can't do for us, and I hope that we embrace those. That even in the limits that God has gifted us. I mean, we're not capable of everything, but God has gifted us limits, which we sometimes see as a curse, but often these are the ways that God can use us to be a bigger blessing. I hope we celebrate that too. The song is called Ain't I. I laugh, I cry. Sometimes it's better than to speak, 'cause I won't need them words when I can hold a hand that's been holding a heart that's breaking at the seams, falling apart. I'll sing, I'll dance. It won't be pretty, but I'll take my chance. I'm only human, I'll be making mistakes, and I'll try, but I will be myself. I'm foolish and I'm perfectly limited, yeah, perfectly I. And I, and I, and I, and I, and you, and we, and I, and I. I'm here, I'm real. Won't trade my truth for artificially real. The proposition that will make me to be them, but not me. No, I won't give them my identity. I may be broken, but I'm beautifully made. And I, and I, and I, and I, and I, and I, and you, and we, and I, and I, and I. Why gain the world at the cost of my soul? Why dream a dream not for me? 'Cause holy ambition won't hurry to grow, and I choose to be patient to do what I'll be patient to be. Ain't I, ain't I, ain't I, ain't I, and you, and we, and I, and I. And I, 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 and you, and we, and I, 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 and you, and we, and I, and I. And I. Thank you.
Again, a beautiful song, and you're right that AI can be a tool, but again, we have to remember that AI isn't God. And I think it was Chris Barton that here said in one of our comments that we need the other AI, Adonai's influence. And so, again, I agree that again, we have to make sure that we know that we don't really leave. Let me see, we don't leave. Say that 3 times fast. Leave our first love. That's something we definitely don't want to do. And as we talk about it, when we talk about Christian music, right, and reaching people that maybe didn't have that, what in your mind and in your ministry is the message you want to convey? Is it Jesus's love? Is it, I mean, again, that's a given, but what in your own ministry do you want to reach those that are maybe on the outskirts of the church, as you said? How do you reach those people? What is your message, if that makes sense? Again, that's kind of a given, but how would you describe it? Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I guess for one, that Jesus is not like a figment of our imagination or just a person in history who doesn't care about us. I mean, he is constantly living, consistently giving, and forever loving. And if there's anything that I would, is that, I mean, he is relevant as he was alive, as he is, as his spirit works in us today. And, when I became a Christian, I always, before I became a Christian, I always thought that God was this powerful being. I knew he existed. He was just not relevant to me. I knew he had power. I just didn't think he loved me enough to notice me. And I guess, with these songs, I want people to realize that, you are noticed. you are loved. And greatly, I mean, as much as God uses us to be these instruments to give notice, to give love, to sit with people, to go with them through pain. But I hope that more than that, we are just the messengers that God sent into these people's lives to bring His love, not our love, bring His love and His truth into whatever it is that you're going through. So I guess that's the gist of the fuel of the
Right.
music. Yeah.
Right. Well, and you mentioned about the oil, that the pain we go through, but if you look at how oil is made, what has to be pressed,
Oh
olives
yeah,
do.
exactly.
AI can't make, AI is not going to be able to make olive oil, right? It's not going to be able to press fakeness. And so
Yeah,
we as human
yeah,
beings, the things we go through, whether it's, pain, suffering, death, loss, whatever, God can use that. And most of the time does use those type of things. Doesn't
yeah,
cost them. Again, of course, like
yeah,
tragedy. But look at Charlie Kirk. Again, that to
yeah.
me is that is the biggest olive that pressed everyone. And look at the
Mm,
oil that flowed forth on Sunday. It wasn't about
yeah,
Charlie Kirk. It was about
yeah.
Jesus. And what I
Right.
love
Yeah.
is that
Amen. Yeah.
every network across the world shared that across
Mm,
all nations, across all places, all because of what Satan used, what he thought was for evil,
yeah.
God turned for everybody's good. So again, before we even get into that, what's your
Yeah.
next
Yeah.
song? Man, again, the oil just to me is wow. Again, so your song again was so touching. That first one and so powerful. What's your next song you have for us?
This one's for um more of a song that is kind of like born out of a prayer time with the Lord. And sometimes prayer times, I hope that in our prayer times we're not coming up with the right words. We're not coming up with words that are beyond us. I hope that these are times when we are so honest with the Lord and bring Him our questions, bring Him our doubts, and in the end we ask Him, Lord, even if you don't do these prayers, answer these prayers that I'm asking, but Lord, what would you have me do? And I guess this is the song about maybes. Oh, maybe I ask, Lord, if I build a boat, maybe will you bring the fish? Will you bring the tide? At the times we find ourselves in the valleys where we're grasping faith, our faith is grasping at maybes, and we know that what God can do with a mustard seed of faith. And I hope that we don't let go, because even when we are so low and so feel like we're so out of faith, but our God is big, our God is great. So the song is called Maybes. Oh, if I build a boat, maybe you'll bring the tide. And if I cast my net, maybe you'll provide. Step out of the boat, maybe I'll walk the tides. If waves won't relent, maybe I'll survive. I'll strike my harp 1,000 times, maybe the healing begins. I'll strike the ground where the river lies, maybe you'll part them again. When my faith is grasping the maybes, I'll hold on to the promise. Maybe, baby, you'll heal, I know you will. Maybe this time you won't. Oh, I'm only asking, I need to hear. What will I do if you don't? And if I lift my head, will there be deliverance? And if I lose it all, will I understand? I'll strike my heart 1,000 times, maybe the healing begins. I'll strike the ground where the river lies, maybe you'll part them again. When my faith is grasping your maybes, I'll hold on to the promises. Maybe, this time you won't. I'm only asking, I need to hear. What will I do if you don't? Oh, when my faith is grasping the maybes, I'll hold on to the promise. Maybe you'll heal, I know you will. Maybe this time you won't. I'm only asking, I need to hear. What will I do if you don't? Lord, what will I do if you don't? Thank you.
Again, the mustard seed of faith. So, we talk about that and, how sometimes we just grasp at that mustard seed of faith. Can you tell me a time in your own ministry and own life that you really had to kind of, grasp for that bit of faith? Again, if it's too personal, again, I have another question, but, can you share a story or a story maybe of someone else who had
Oh
that?
yeah. No, I've been through that quite a lot. Like I said, in my profession, I guess in the way I don't really I'm not good at business, and I guess the way I do my profession is supposed to be a business, but I tend to do it more of like a charity. So often I get paid, sometimes often I don't, and there are just times when God leads me into these desert. I don't even know where to get money. I had to be somewhere, I still have to work. And, I find myself walking the street just to get to, 18 kilometers to where I need to work. And I'm like, God, I mean, you put me in this. Am I supposed to see this as a blessing? And as I walk, I guess, God just sometimes amuses me, sometimes just breaks me down in tears. I probably look like a crazy woman walking down the street with a cap on and just crying all the way 18 kilometers to where I need to get to work.
Wow.
And sometimes out of these, it was one of these instances where God actually started giving me songs. So as I was walking, God started, I had an empty pocket, but my heart was starting to fill up with songs, and that's how this the writing started. And I can only give God the credit for that. I mean, as much as I would not like to go through something like that again, but who knows? Maybe
Pressing
God
the
will, yeah,
as you were
God will
walking,
use this.
pressing the olives, and God was giving you the oil to fill you.
Yeah,
So,
yeah,
but again, I totally get it.
absolutely.
Yeah, definitely would not want to wish you having to walk that far again for
Oh,
sure.
yeah, yeah.
Amazing. So, what's your next song you have for us?
So this is one song that it took a while to write. It's not the easiest to write, and I guess it was a journey to write this song. This past year has been I've seen I've gone through grief with a lot of my friends, and especially my best friend. But entering into this year, somehow God has prepared me to in this season of grief, and has allowed me to go through my own grief. And somehow, sometimes we don't take grief seriously, but often, these are what breaks the ground for us to grow, to help us grow. And if we don't go through it so honestly and so holy, the way Jesus gave himself into the agony when he was in Gethsemane, if we don't allow ourselves to, be sorrowful that way, we might not come out healed on the other side of what we're going through. And so sometimes we find, my grief is not as big as theirs, but grief is to be grieved. We have to mourn too. There's a time for mourning, there's a time for joy, for dancing.
Yep.
And I guess for me, going through this grief and came out with this song which is called Dancing on Water. And God takes us from that point, and not just walking on water, we can be dancing on water and joy, in faith. And so this is called Dancing on Water. Is there anything that's trivial that comes in a box of sorrow, inevitable. Pull the ties and watch it crumble when you hold on tight to what's familiar. Love and loss, they go together, inevitable. You chase the sky and watch it fall. They say the darkest night, it grows the soul. So let the night come, let it swallow you whole. Drown one last time before you know it's over. Oh, time to throw away the covers. Oh, 'cause the morning's taking over. Oh, we'll be dancing on the waters. Step out of the sea. We'll be dancing on the waters now. It cuts deep, it cuts you open, leaves you no less burdened, broken, inevitable. You find your tears can break the ground when you take your fill from romance sadness. Find them treasures in the ashes, inevitable. You learn what love and life's about. Oh, time to throw away the covers. Oh, 'cause the morning's taking over. Oh, we'll be dancing on the waters. Step out of the sea. We'll be dancing on the waters. Dancing on waters now. We'll be dancing on the waters. Dancing on waters now. They say the darkest night, it grows the soul. So let the night come, let it swallow you whole. Drowning one last time before you know it's over. Oh, time to throw away the covers. Oh, 'cause the morning's taking over. And oh, we'll be dancing on the waters. Step out of the sea. We'll be dancing on the. Oh, time to throw away the covers. Oh, 'cause the morning's taking over. And oh, we'll be dancing on the waters. Step out of the sea. We'll be dancing on the waters. Dancing on waters now. We'll be dancing on the waters. Dancing on waters now. We'll be dancing on the waters. Dancing on waters now. Thank you.
You know, I think about joy coming in the morning whenever you go through a tough time. And, talking about the modern churches, because we got to ask the hard questions right now. So
Okay.
they're asked, do you find, and again, being in the Philippines, and again, I'm not, familiar with that territory as you are, just in the modern church world, right? Are we more interested, and I say we as a collective, the church ministry world, are we more interested in getting God's blessings than God's presence? Are you seeing that? What are your thoughts of that?
I think generally. Oh, sorry.
No, go ahead. No, that's what I was going to end with.
I think there's. Oh, sorry. Yeah. Well, I think there's always that pull, from the material world, from the world that we live in, to always seek for God's blessings. And I guess I hope that we step in as a church to always remind us that these blessings are from the source of blessings, and we have to be seeking more this person. We have to be loving more this person. And I guess sometimes even the ministries that we do may get in the way of that. Sometimes the things that we occupy ourselves too much of, sometimes maybe getting in the way of us seeking God in his truest delight, in our truest delight, and in his truest delight. And it has to be a daily as for me, it has to be a daily coming to God and asking him, Lord, what is it today? What is it that what about you am I supposed to seek? What about you am I supposed to share? What about you am I supposed to, what is it? What is the cost that you would have me, the reason why you have kept me alive today? What is the reason for that? And I hope that we always go back to, to God and why. And I hope that will be what is, the vision and the mission for each and every day of our lives. And I guess I hope that will be the mission and vision of our church, a daily coming, moment by moment, coming to God and what His will is and what His heart is. Yeah.
That's right. And again, I agree because, you think about, the Israelites in the desert, they had manna from the heavens, and yet
Mm,
still they're like, well, God, we need more of this. We need more of
yeah.
this. And they missed the message that here's a God that has manna come down from heaven, and you're complaining because you want
Yeah.
more. Man
Yeah.
wants a relationship with us, right? He wants us to come and seek Him daily and say, as your point, the greatest question we can ask is not, what can you do for me today, God?
Mm,
Question is, what can I do for you? What do
yeah.
you have for me to do? Who do I need to speak to? Who do I need to talk to? And again, to your point, the hardest question man has to ask, a woman has to ask is, Lord, what do you want me to learn about you today? So,
Yeah.
again,
Yeah.
such an amazing message. So, thank you for that. So, what's your next song you have for us?
This last song, I guess,
Mhm.
is it was co-written with someone, also a Christian writer in Chicago. I believe he is in Chicago, and it's just a conversation of how I don't know. I guess as we get older, time seems to just go faster, and we find ourselves. Oh, I guess when we were younger, it took forever for summer to come. There was, and now it's like year after year. It's just slipping by our hands,
Right.
and I guess this is just a conversation with time. Sometimes we want time. Would you stop for a bit? Wait for me. But I guess there's always something to learn, as we go. There's many things that God reveals to us in this journey. And I hope that in the end, the same way that Jesus spent his life just unpacking the love that he received from the Father and the love that he has for us. The reason why he came for us is because of how much he loves us, and he was just unpacking that as he lived on earth and even beyond death. He was just unpacking that. And I hope that, as we live our life here on earth, that we are spending all the love that we're supposed to spend. We're giving it away. We're, blessing people with it. And I think that is, if there's anything at all that will just bring change, a true change, I think it's in how we love people. And if we're sincere the way Jesus was sincere, if we're to take, pause and take notice of people the way Jesus so lovingly took notice of the Samaritan woman, of the woman, the bleeding woman in the street, I think that will just change the world. And I guess this is a reflection of that, and in a conversation with time. So this was written with Daniel Lim. Time, will you stand still? 'Cause I need a minute or two. Will you please slow it down? Time, please say you will. 'Cause I doubt if I can catch you. Will you please wait around? Will you wait around? Stop counting years, start living in the hours. Stop counting tears, find courage in the scars. 'Cause eternity's not written in the stars. It's in the here and now we find out who we are. In time, was in your hand. Why does everything you touch turn to sand? Time, are you running out? 'Cause I see these wrinkles and not mine. They're beautiful, make them beautiful. They're beautiful. Stop counting years, stop living in the hours. Stop counting tears, my courage is lost. 'Cause eternity's not written in the stars. Just in the here and now we find out who we are. And cause eternity's not written in the stars. It's in the here and now we find out who we are. In time, am I too late? 'Cause I got a bag full of love I need to give away. And time, what will it bring? If I don't put love into motion, will it be worth a thing? Will it change anything? Thank you.
Amazing. Again, thank you so much for these songs that you've written with passion, with love, and again, the oil that, you've been pressed again to write these songs again. So, it's definitely evident. And again, the spirit is here for sure. So thank you so much. So the next question I have to
Appreciate it.
ask is,
Okay.
where can we find you? Where can people find
Oh.
your music and your love you have for ministry and for him?
Oh yeah. You know, add me as a friend on Facebook. I will, be happy to, accept your friend requests. If you want to learn more about my music, there's Mary Oz, music. So you can find me on Spotify and all the music platforms. The name you have to search is Mary Oz. So Mary Oz, and on all, I guess, social media platforms and even on YouTube, you can find Mary Oz music. And come visit me in my country, and I would love to tour you around. I think we have a beautiful country, and we would be so welcoming of you guys coming. Yeah.
So what you're telling me is Red needs to, get some funding and, have a Red's
Oh
Room
yeah.
live from the Philippines, right? That's the next plan.
Yeah, yeah, and hopefully you could bring some Pizza King pizza, I guess, whatever.
Yeah, I'll promise you that because I'll bring it myself to make sure we have all of us have enough for that for sure. Me and Chris
Yeah,
Park
yeah,
together on that one.
yeah. Might be too. I guess it would be an expensive trip just to bring pizza here, right?
Worth it though. Worth it completely.